Alright guys, what's up? Welcome back to another Draconic Sports video. In today's video, we are going to be discussing all the main free agency signings of this free agency so far, and discussing each and every one of them, giving them a grade, and then kind of going over the rest of that team's signings, if they didn't do that many big ones, maybe discussing some of their smaller signings, and so on and so forth, as, we get through each and every team's biggest signing, and some teams have multiple. So without further ado, let's just get right into it.
Technically not a signing, but a trade.
Yeah.
The Bears traded for Joe Tooney of the Chiefs, guard, and they traded a not this year's draft, but the next year's draft fourth-round pick for him.
Yep. It's actually not that bad. I mean, a fourth round pick is kind of worth it, Like, your offensive line has been so bad that giving up a fourth round pick for one of the better guys in the league, totally worth it. So hopefully the Bears can, surround that offense with better skilled players to help out Caleb Williams even more. Bears still aren't a playoff team, though, sadly. But, they're getting closer. These trades and these other signings that they made, they're getting closer, but they still aren't there quite yet.
So I will mention the other thing to mention is Joe Tooney is quite up there in age. I mean, he literally was out there blocking for Tom Brady and then Patrick Mahomes to that. So he's been in the league for a minute.
Yeah.
So the question is how many years they're going to get out of Tooney. The other issue is they do need to re-sign him, I believe, after this year. I'll double check that actually. Let me do that actually. That might be something important. I forgot when I pulled up free agents, I didn't show the trade, so I need to see what the current contract is. They're paying 16 mil, by the way, for Tooney this year.
That is a decent chunk, not gonna lie.
And then he's a free agent next year, so you have to re-sign him. Okay, yeah, I was right on that. Anyways, let's go back to it. Anyways, I forgot where I left off, and
You're talking about how they have to pay him next year.
but yeah, the other issue is that he's going to be a free agent next year, and they're paying him 16 million this year, which isn't the priciest of guard, but he's up there in age. Is the other thing to mention. Also, he does have versatility to eventually play tackle, as we saw during the Super Bowl, though. That way, he wasn't the main issue in the Super Bowl for the Chiefs, to be honest. There
Yeah.
were other things. But yeah, the main problem, like I said, after this year, they're going to have to trade him. Sorry, not trade him. They're going to have to re-sign him. So no guarantees that this is like a long-term deal, and if it's not a long-term deal, then I do not like this trade. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's like a 1-year rental for
I
a team
don't.
that's not a contender.
Yeah, maybe sign him to like a 2-year deal after this season, and then I would probably like it. But yeah, if it's a 1-year rental, I'm not too excited about that. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, 32 isn't the oldest for a guard, so like he probably still has some more production in him. Obviously, he's been playing at an elite level for a while now, but yeah, like I said, that's gonna really determine the grade for me long term. But like as it is, fourth round pick's not that bad. The contract is pricey, but at least he's worth it. I'd say. Unlike we'll talk to you about a different trade for a guard. So I'm down for like a B. For now, maybe B. Probably B plus if they resign him, but like I can't say that for certain yet.
Yeah,
Ripcord, what your
I'd
thoughts? Yeah.
probably say a solid B. I don't want to go B minus or B plus. I just say B because it gets you what you need. But there is a chance that you don't retain it for a long term. So that is,
B
I guess,
minus
the
if they
one.
don't resign him. By the way,
Yeah,
just right
that
now.
is the one downside. All right, so next up for the free agent signings, because I guess the first signing, because the last one was technically a trade, we have Zach Bond, arguably the best middle linebacker in the league, getting re-signed to the Super Bowl champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, which is arguably the best move the Eagles could have done, and one of probably the best moves the Eagles have, or just any team has done, this entire free agency. This is a really good signing. This guy broke out this year like very, very well, and yeah, it's just one of the best linebackers in the league right now, so totally deserves it.
Now, I will say we only seen the one like really good year of production, and it was a really good year of production. So it is a question moving forward, like how good will he be as good as he was last year? I mean, even if he isn't like, even if he's like 80 or 90%, that this is still a really good signing. Plus, he's still in the same scheme as he was last year, so there's no reason really to assume he'd fall off. And like he maybe just found his perfect home. So this just makes sense for both sides to reach an agreement. though I guess like I said, because he hasn't had multiple years of that like elite level production. I don't think I can give this an A for that reason. So probably A minus, B plus, probably A minus to be honest, because like I said, I don't think I'll fall off. But I like I said, if he had more production like previously to this season, I would be more high on it.
Yeah, I'd also probably give it like an A. I'd probably give it an A just because I don't. There's no reason why he wouldn't fall off. So, yeah, definitely one of the top like five, arguably top three signings so far in free agency.
I guess I also mentioned they signed AJ Dillon from the Packers. Yeah, that's a running back addition right there. Not much more to say on that.
All right, so next up we have another trade, which is Christian Kirk getting technically released, but then technically also traded to the Texans for a seventh round pick. And
So the way it
yeah,
worked is that they originally were going to release him, but then they last minute got a trade with the Texans. And as stated, the Texans have agreed to give up their this year's draft seventh round pick, which isn't a lot. So all things in the Texans didn't pay a lot. So I like it. I'd probably grade that like an A from that perspective because they desperately need another wide receiver with Diggs. We don't actually know where Diggs is going, but like the fact he hasn't resigned isn't a great sign. And then also Dell might be out for the entire season. We don't know. It's gonna either way he's gonna be out for the majority of the season minimum. And
yeah,
the Texans are only having to pay him for a little over $1 million. Sorry, a little over $5 million for a really solid wide slot receiver that they needed. Honestly, I think that's pretty solid. Only giving up a seven. Sure, he's a free agent next year, but I'm sure you can reach a deal with him. And yeah, like even if it's only a $5 million rental for a seventh round pick, I don't hate it, even in the worst case. So I think, and then like I said, the Jags were gonna release him anyway, so you at least got something out of it. But you are trading him to division rivals, so maybe just like a B for the Jags, in my opinion, for that reason. It's like A and B.
yeah. I'd give it like a B minus. Christian Kirk's good, but he's not, amazing. He had that one good year on the Jags, and other than that, he's been below average to slightly average. So, not amazing signing or trade, I guess, but, not the worst trade of all time. I mean, the Texans
Oh,
definitely needed it, so I guess I'd give it a B minus just for that.
like low risk, like decent enough like a reward. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So next
Oh,
up, we have the Commanders re-signing Bobby Wagner, the old linebacker that somehow never ages. This guy's been in the league forever and is still, like arguably like a top 15 linebacker. It's kind of crazy.
yeah, and surprisingly enough, his age doesn't show that much. The question always still remains like, how many more seasons will he have left? It doesn't really matter. You got him back for another year. I'm sure he'll still, at worst, give above average production at the minimum. Like, yeah, like this is just a solid re-signing here. It
Yeah.
doesn't really the amount of money you're paying him isn't that bad either. It's just like, yep, like solid re-signing. Like, I mean, you can give it like it's something like amazing because like in terms of like the aspect of like this is not like a needle mover. This is just kind of re-signing a guy that you should re-sign if as long as he's not retiring. So that guy, that reason I can really give it a B. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
very good signing.
I give it like a B minus again. Nothing too big, but it's like a good like just little piece that you just kind of realign with your team to make your team an even better Super Bowl contender for next year. After the run they had, so good job bringing back a veteran, and yeah, overall solid move.
More moves. Talk about the Commanders coming soon.
Yeah. All right, next up we have the Bucks re-signing one of their veterans, longtime veterans, very solid linebacker Levante David to a 1 year, $10 million deal, which is pretty solid because this guy won you a Super Bowl. He's been there for a while. Him, Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, they've all kind of been together on that defense for a while, and cool to see him coming back for one last ride, and gonna be interesting to see how well the Bucks do because their defense has been solid, and that has a lot to do with Levante David. So good veteran signing all around.
Yep, just a matter of like he didn't retire, so you might as well get him back on the team.
Yep.
Like once again, similar situation, Bobby Wagner, kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah, very
Ish
similar.
area.
Yeah, very similar situation. Next up,
Yeah,
we
it's
have probably one of the biggest free agency, kind of moves, which is the Raiders trading for Geno Smith for a third round pick, which I guess for the Raiders, a third round pick doesn't really matter because their draft history has been so bad over the past like 5 years. So a third round pick's not that bad to give up for Geno. And I mean, he's going to give you at least like 6 wins. So I guess there's that. I mean, he's a solid quarterback. So yeah, nothing really too crazy, but it is pretty big because a lot of people thought, Geno was kind of either stay there or was something was going to happen where they draft somebody and Geno kind of just like stays back. But no, Geno just gets kicked out, man, of Seattle. And yeah, interesting to see what the Raiders are going to do, though, with that draft pick of theirs.
So of course they had to do this a few days after we recorded our video, ranking all the teams that went last in their division, saying
Yeah.
that they're in the neither quarterback tier. Well, I guess they proved us wrong in that aspect. But yeah, it's a $31 million cap hit for the season, which for a quarterback of his caliber is pretty solid. Like it's like you didn't have to overpay him or anything, though you are gonna have to re-sign him in 2026. So I'm sure they'll get a deal done with that. But yeah, overall solid bridge quarterback. I'm sure they'll find their quarterback in the future within the next few years. Gino, we'll see how many years he has left. But either way, his production hasn't really fallen off. I will say the only way I might rate this lower is if they think this is a long term solution, because I don't think Gino is going to be their quarterback to win it. Will help them contend. But he will definitely. I think Gino could definitely win this team a playoff game for the first time in forever. So that could be big. Yeah,
Yeah.
ranking both
I don't
sides.
know.
Seahawks getting a third round pick for a quarterback they didn't want to pay for the long term. Honestly, third round pick's not too bad. Honestly, B plus probably there is where I'm about on that. And like the Raiders got probably the best quarterback they realistically could have gotten, other than Sam Darnold, who you would have had to pay more probably. So probably like once again, probably like up there for like a B, depending on what they do with them long term is really a question for me here. I like him more as a rental actually in this scenario.
Yeah, I'd give it like a B minus. I don't know. It's not crazy, but it's pretty good for the situation the Raiders have been in. Definitely better than Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. So I guess there's that.
Yeah, that's exactly why I have to give him at least something.
Yeah.
Best thing Raiders done in forever. Kidding. They extended Max Crosby. Crosby. That's pretty good as well.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have the first tight end that has to do with free agency, which is Mike Gesicki getting re-signed to a 3-year, $25.5 million deal by the Bengals. Pretty good, to be honest, to bring him back. Keep that offensive like firepower in check with him, Chase, and Higgins now. Which have kind of become a trio, so pretty solid, like trio. Not gonna lie, like definitely one of the best in the league. And yeah, Gasecki is just always going to be a consistent tight end for Burrow to throw to. So good signing, really. I don't know if they overpaid him, maybe a little bit, but not that bad, to be honest, for a 3-year deal. And he's not too, I think he's like, what is he, like 28? He's not even that old. So he's like, later 20s. So he's definitely going to give you good production, probably like 500 plus yards, and like 3 to 4 touchdowns a season. So he's going to give you what you need him to give you. And yeah, he's still like really athletic. So not like a Zach Ertz signing or anything like that. It doesn't hold your team back. If anything, it makes your offense even better. So good signing by the Bengals.
I also just mentioned this now because it's not officially done, but it sounds like the Bengals are going to finalize a deal, a long-term deal with Chase and Higgins. That's going to be somewhere above $70 million between the two of them per season.
That's kind
So
of crazy.
yeah, I don't really know where the Bengals are going to have money for a defense, but this offense will be electric other than the O-line. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So like this signing in particular though, like re-signing a tight end that played well here, honestly, like I said, that's probably like once again B territory. Didn't like an amazing like discount or anything, so like maybe I can't really rate it up that much better. But yeah, solid tight end. But dear God, that defense is gonna struggle.
Uh huh. Yeah, no, it's not looking too good for the Bengals defense nowadays, I'm not gonna lie. All right, next up we have another tight end that has to do with free agency, and this is Zach Ertz re-signing with the Commanders for a 1-year little 6.25 million rental, not too bad. Probably like the perfect amount of money you want to pay somebody who's probably going to retire after this 1 year deal. So, not bad. And hopefully him and Bobby Wagner can just help the Commanders go on one last run, to try to win a Super Bowl. It could happen, Last year was pretty surprising. So hopefully the Commanders do even more moves that, can get them even closer to moving the needle.
Yeah, they've been doing, as you'll see later, a lot of moves that are kind of more feel like win now moves, which is interesting, being that Jaden Daniels is only on year 2. We'll have to wait and see what we see for Jaden Daniels in his second year. But yeah, overall, solid signing. Got a pretty good amount of, honestly, like a pretty good amount of money for what you're getting here.
Yeah,
So.
no, I like it. It's, it's solid all around, and Zach Ertz is still going to give you numbers that like backup tight ends won't really give you. So he's still like barely a starting caliber tight end in the league, and that's pretty good money for a guy who's going to, still put up one last good season. Next up, we have Von Miller getting released by the Bills, which is what the Bills kind of needed to do because of that ridiculous contract he signed like 2 years ago now. That kind of made the Bills regret it almost immediately because either Von Miller didn't play or he just wasn't effective on the field. And so like the deal just like is going to go down as one of like the worst like old man defensive signings like ever. Because, like, people didn't think Von Miller was that old, but he kind of showed, yeah, he is that old. Like, this guy, should not be really considered one of the best at his position anymore because he just is not what he, used to be on the Rams and on the Broncos, of course.
Yeah, and saves the Bills $15 million in cap, which they definitely could put to good use. They've signed a different edge we'll talk about later, as well as they extended Josh Allen, which I think is a pretty big thing to do. We'll see where he ends up landing. We don't know as of this time.
All right, so next up we have the Chiefs re-signing Nick Bolton to a 3-year, $45 million deal, which is actually really good because the Chiefs needed to kind of retain a lot of their, championship level guys that they've had over the past few years to, kind of run it back and not kind of fall off after losing a Super Bowl. So, good signing by them and way to use the cap because this guy is actually really solid. Bolton has been a, championship level linebacker for the past like 3 years. So good to see him, playing at that level and hopefully he continues playing at that level and this doesn't look like a bad deal. But, it's probably going to be a really good deal in the long run.
Yep, it is just like a game for the Chiefs. So who they need to resign, who they can let walk of their like star power. As you'll see later, they had to let go of a certain safety. We'll talk about soon enough. But yeah, quite the pricey player, but also quite a lot of production from him. So it makes sense. Overall, so probably honestly, assuming this is what enables the Chiefs defense to continue to be as good as it is, it will be an A. But like I said, we'll see how the defense goes without a certain safety in a minute.
Yeah, I give it like a B+, really solid. Nothing really bad about it. Next up, we have the Vikings re-signing Aaron Jones to a 2-year, $20 million deal. And, pretty solid. I mean, Aaron Jones still a pretty big name when it comes to running backs in the league and gave you the Vikings a solid year. Definitely outperformed what I thought he was going to do. So cool to see that Aaron Jones still has it. And he probably will retire after this 2-year deal or get released and then something's going to happen because he's probably just going to fall off by the end of this 2-year deal, but I think he could still give them like 2 more like above average years of production. So cool to see that the Vikings and him were on the same wavelength when it came to understanding that they needed to re-sign him.
Yep. Hopefully they draft a running back to help him out as well. Imagine you want to take some pressure off of him. Him being basically your bell cow is likely to only make his production drop further in time. So, yeah, overall, probably like a B in a signing. It was probably a necessary signing, kind of where we're at with that.
Yeah, I'd say like a B. Yeah, probably just a solid B, to be honest. Nothing too great, but not bad at all. All right, so next up we have probably one of, if not the biggest signings of free agency, which is the Rams signing Devontae Adams to a 2-year, $64 million deal. And with $26 million of that guaranteed, and yeah, he's replacing Cooper Kupp. We got a new wide receiver duo in the LA area with Adams and Nakua. Is it better
Yep.
than Nakua and Cup? We'll have to see. Maybe, probably not, but still, really solid signing by the Rams. Love to see that they're giving Matthew Stafford someone else to work with that isn't just Puka, because if it was just Puka and Stafford, I feel like they would struggle a lot more. But thankfully, they got Adams. And yeah, this still keeps the Rams championship window open to see if they can sneak another one in there with Stafford before he retires. It gives them probably like a 2-year window. Like the second Devontae's deal is up, he's probably going to retire. And Stafford's also probably going to retire. So interesting little like last dance type of thing where the Rams are trying to like figure out how to maximize the Stafford window, and this is a pretty good way to do it. Overall, I'd probably give this like a B plus. Probably actually no, probably like an A minus. I give this an A minus for the Rams definitely.
I mean, if you look at the last like half of the Jets season with Devontae, he put in a pretty good job. I think it was either just above or just below between like the entire season combined together of 1,000 yards. So he still got it. His route running's good, still good. I mean, will he fall off eventually? But I'm sure they can get plenty of production out of him on this 2-year deal. And being that this is one of like a win now move, it just feels like a good signing overall.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to agree with the A minus. Yeah. All right, ready for your thoughts on this one?
All right, next up we have the Patriots finally doing something in signing Harold Landry, a linebacker, to a 3-year, $45.5 million deal with 26 guaranteed. That's actually pretty solid. I know Harold Landry's been, pretty decent for the Titans over the past, few years, and interesting to see the Patriots going after defense heavy this free agency, as you'll see later on. But yeah, this guy's like one of the better linebackers in the league, really solid, and glad to see that he's on the Patriots team and that we're actually going to be able to compete with like notable defensive players, because I swear, we either have the most like homegrown guys ever that nobody knows besides Patriots fans, or we have like the biggest name ever that nobody, and he's the only guy on our team. But thankfully, we're now assembling like a team of known players, including Harold Landry, and he's going to be a big part of that. And so, kind of glad that we got him, and excited to see his production going into this year.
You're not gonna like my opinion on some of these Patriots signings. I do think this is kind of an overpay, so I'm dropping this to a B minus.
Wow, that's crazy. I give this
I
like
mean, you have the cap space to be fair. Like, I'm not saying they shouldn't make the signing, which is why it's still in the B range. But like, I think I have to keep in mind the overpay at least a little bit in my rating.
All right, I mean that's fair. I'd probably give it an A just because I'm biased. Because we need players that are notably good at their position, especially when we have all this cap. So thankfully we did get multiple guys like this, and yeah, I mean our defense was already like top half, and now it's probably going to be like top 10, arguably top 5, depending on a few
Depends on the
things.
scheme,
Yeah,
honestly.
we could be a top 5 defense next year. I'm not gonna lie. We have a chance to be, but yeah, no, Harold Landry's gonna be a good part of that. So I'm excited to see how it goes. But yeah, I give it an A, and that's probably a little biased. Not gonna lie. All right, next up we have a quick shout out to Josh Allen, who has just got one of the biggest deals in NFL history with a 6-year, $330 million with $250 guaranteed extension with the Buffalo Bills. That is some money right there, man. That is crazy.
Shockingly enough, that still doesn't make him the highest paid quarterback based on like average salary a year or a season.
Yeah,
Dak
but
still is paid more, which is a choice.
but I think he is. Him and Mahomes now have the two biggest contracts in the sense of like length and like amount of money, and he's probably what like he's probably number 1 for guaranteed money. It's either him or Deshaun Watson, right? So pretty good by Josh Allen. Deserves it, and glad that it didn't kind of screw up the Bills' whole like salary structure, which is pretty good. And yeah, excited to see how the MVP goes forward with this.
Maybe one could argue a little bit of a home discount being, like I said, Dak got 60 million on average. Also, not great company with your guaranteed money comp there. But
Yeah,
obviously, a lot better of a player. Obviously, it's like a signing, extension here because I don't think the Bills would like win like 7 games without Josh Allen. So, yep.
Yeah, no, I mean that's what the MVP, man. The second you win it, you just get as much money as you want. So, all right, next up we have probably the biggest, in my opinion, free agency move here with the Steelers trading for DK Metcalf, for a second round pick, and he's gonna sign a contract with the Steelers for 5 years, worth 150 million. And yeah, he's gonna be a Pittsburgh Steeler, man. That's crazy to think about. Him and George Pickens are either gonna be the most dysfunctional duo of all time or gonna be the most productive duo of all time. It could go either way. I don't think this moves the needle for the Steelers that much, considering their quarterback situation is kind of screwed. But, I mean, going forward, if they do find a young guy or a veteran or somebody to be their quarterback for, more than like 2 years, I do think that the Steelers could be a serious contender. But right now, no. But, I mean, DK definitely helps them out with, wanting a quarterback to come to Pittsburgh, whether that's Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson resigning, or somebody else, Gonna be interesting to see what happens. But, no. DK going there, yeah, it finally makes the Steelers' offense like somewhat interesting and somewhat watchable, because their offense was so unwatchable for the past few years without Big Ben. But thankfully, they got somebody like DK, and yeah, I think overall you just got to be excited, and this is a positive signing. I'd probably give it I might give it an A plus. I'd probably give it an A plus. I think DK is worth a second round pick. I'm not gonna lie.
There's also a pick swap in there. I think it was like a fourth and like a fifth or something. I can't remember the specifics, but yeah. Uh, $18 million just for this year is actually pretty nice. The 30 million after that might be a little bit of an overpay, but then again, the league always, as things go on, the prices always go up. So maybe it won't be too bad in the future, all things considered. Plus, they desperately needed someone in that wide receiver room. Well, I think a slot receiver may have been a better fit overall for what Pittsburgh was lacking. But especially if they bring back Russell Wilson, which we don't know at this time who the quarterback is going to be for the Steelers. Honestly, I think Russell Wilson would love to match back up with DK.
Yeah, that would be fun. I'm not gonna lie. Seeing Gino go back with Pete Carroll and then now DK go back with Russ, that'd be kind of funny.
Honestly, so this could very well be that A plus signing, but just for the reason, like I said, I do feel like maybe the 30 million might be a slight overpay, but we'll see. And also, we just don't know the quarterback situation. I'll leave this at an A for now. But
All right.
overall, trading a second is probably worth it, and I'm sure you'll get quite a bit of production out of Metcalf for the rest of his career, assuming he doesn't leave.
I mean, it's DK. He's probably gonna leave, but for now, hey, he's a Steeler for life. You know what I mean?
So we'll see what they do with Pickens in the future. That's gonna be another question.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have the Panthers extending J.C. Horn to become now the highest paid DB in NFL history with a 4-year, $100 million contract with about 70 of that guaranteed, meaning he's getting paid basically $25 million a year, which is pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie. That is pretty wild money for a cornerback. And J.C. Horn, I mean, dude's been balling. He was arguably Defensive Rookie of the Year. I don't know. I don't think he won it, but he was close to being Defensive Rookie of the Year when he was a rookie. And now, he is kind of like the most important player on the Panthers defense now that Brian Burns is gone. So exciting to see what he does, and hopefully the Panthers can surround him with I should say smart defensive players. Hopefully they can surround him with guys that understand
some other
stuff.
on defense. We'll get to that very soon enough. I'm leaning between B and B plus right now. I'm not fully sure where I lean in that, mainly because of the injury history. It really kind of hurts it a little bit because you could be paying him all this money, and based on his track record, he hasn't stayed healthy. But hopefully he stays healthy. We gotta wait and see on that. So I'll be generous and go with the B plus here. Ripcord, what are you thinking?
I'd probably go like A minus. I mean, you're the Panthers. You're kind of poverty right now.
Yeah.
You have to pay somebody, and giving this guy the biggest deal of all time is kind of a little weird. But also, he is your best defensive guy, so you kind of have to. I mean, yeah, A minus. I might lean towards B plus depending on the other things the Panthers do and the whole way they structure their team going forward, but probably right now A-. Next up, we have the Chargers re-signing Khalil Mack to a 1-year, $18 million deal, fully guaranteed, surprisingly. And yeah, kind of a last ride, last dance scenario with Mack over here. You know, similar to Wagner and Ertz on the Commanders. And kind of surprised Mack didn't, go to another team. I thought he was going to sign with another team kind of randomly, but or I guess like his, ex-teammate has, which we'll get to later. But, interesting to see that the Chargers do want to keep him around just for one more year. And he's probably going to give you some decent production. Like, I feel like he's going to give you, like, decent production just because of how good he's been his entire career now that he's going to retire after this upcoming year. So, cool to see him staying with his team. And hopefully the Chargers can do something besides getting blown out in a wild card playoff game.
I mean, shockingly enough, he was the more productive between him and the person we haven't talked about signing yet, Joey Bosa, and had the more sacks and just was healthier, despite being older. So it doesn't make sense they made the decision to choose Mac over Bosa, just based on that fact alone. So overall, I like the signing. Probably just an A, just because he's still putting up production, and yeah, let's see how it goes for another year.
Yeah. All right, next up we have the Buccaneers signing Hassan Reddick to a 1-year, $14 million deal with about 12 of that, or like 98% of that guaranteed. And yeah, pretty interesting to see that Reddick is finally getting paid after that whole debacle with the Jets, which was really, really weird. And hopefully he can finally come back to being a productive player on the defense. But if not, I mean, doesn't really matter. The Buccaneers already have some other decent, players on their defense. But I mean, you kind of have to hope that he at least cuts back to like maybe 10 sacks a year, kind of like how he was doing before he went to the Jets. But yeah, a little weird, because Hassan Reddick is a pretty weird guy. But I mean, decent signing because his talent is there. He just has to be in the right mindset,
It's a little bit of a gamble. Based on last season, but we obviously have past years to base on the fact that he's been able to put double-digit sacks in multiple seasons. So it is definitely worth the risk here, definitely in my opinion. Plus the Bucs kind of been the weakest part of the defense, kind of has always been off the edge, so this kind of does help that role potentially. And overall, 12 million, honestly, if you get the double-digit sack production, is like a steal. But like if you have the locker room problems and all of that, then definitely this could be a really bad grade. But I'm gonna be optimistic. I'm gonna assume that was just the Jets being dumb and not giving him an extension when he really wanted it. And like it sounded like he may have been even like promised an extension before signing, or said that he wanted an extension if he's gonna be traded. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt here. We'll go with an A- for that reason. I can't give it an A just because of last season, but yeah, still a really good price.
Yeah, no, I give it like a B-. It's going to give you some more defensive talent at the end of the day, but it also is probably going to give you maybe a few headaches here and there in like training practice and stuff like that. So I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, no, Bucs definitely are making some solid moves here and there,
I'll also bring up these two signings as well, since I don't think we're talking about them later. Trask, by the way, their backup quarterback, I believe, is the first Buck in his that was quarterback that was drafted by them in their history to get a second contract. So congrats to him. That's also they signed Kendall Vildor of the Lions, who's like a CB5. But yep, hey, he was a Lion.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot Kyle Trask existed. I don't know how this guy still has an NFL job. Like, he's shown like nothing on the field, because he's had like no opportunities to, but they still re-sign him. Like, I don't really understand, but okay.
I gotta be hope they never see the field that you pay a few million to. It's just how it is.
Yeah. Next up, we have another Buccaneers pretty big signing, which is Chris Godwin getting re-signed to a 3-year, $66 million deal with about $44 million of that guaranteed. And pretty cool, actually, to see Godwin sticking with his boy Baker Mayfield, because some people thought he actually was going to leave, which I thought there was a chance, but I thought it was a slim chance. But I'm glad that he's deciding to stick with Mike Evans and the whole offense they have there, because it is a very good offense, and I'm excited to see them run it back another year with Baker. because this offense can be electric at times. Other times it can be subpar, but I'm excited to see what, the Buccaneers do on offense going forward with Godwin coming back for another year.
Also, rumors stated that Chris Godwin left around like somewhere between 20 and 30 million dollars they could have had like, on top of whatever he got given to the Bucks this season to instead go with the Bucks another year, so another few years. So if I take a random guess, I have a feeling it might have been the Patriots offering him that bag. Just a hunch,
Yeah.
but obviously A+ here. Like it's not even a question for me getting the home ground discount and getting a good player. Hopefully he plays well off the injury. But yeah, great slot receiver and great for that team.
All right, next up we have the Bears signing Drew Dahlman, Falcons center, to a 3-year, $42 million deal. It's a lot of money, but I mean, you got to pay the premium, for an offensive line that is going to protect your guy going forward. So, I would say worth it. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's an overpay for a center, but I would say worth it because at the end of the day, you can't screw around with these kind of things. You got to protect your quarterback. I mean, just look at Andrew Luck. So hopefully, Caleb Williams does finally ball out this year after a very interesting rookie year. Yeah, going forward, the Bears' offensive line looking pretty solid.
I mean, call me a Bears hater because it probably is true, but I will say I think this is kind of an overpay for a center that just coming off an injury and it's more just a run blocking center. He's not the best at pass coverage, from what I can tell. Um, we'll see how this goes. But I will also mention I think Caleb doesn't get as much of the blame for taking as many sacks as he did. Obviously, he can still improve. He's just a rookie, so I do just want to say I think his O line does get a little overhated. I'm not saying it was good, but like I do feel like he's somewhat more fault than people give him credit for. People like tend to like say, "Oh, he did like nothing wrong," and it's just his O line screwing him. But anyways, for that reason, the overpay, B minus. It was a necessary like signing in terms of needing like new interior linemen, but like it's just coming off injury as well. Like it's an overpay.
All right, next up we have the Patriots signing cornerback Carlton Davis, former Detroit Lion, to a 3-year, $60 million deal, which is pretty big, not going to lie. I mean, I was kind of like what I was alluding to earlier, but the Patriots have, decide to go out of their way to get these big name guys on defense, and this is going to be important going forward to strengthen their entire team's chemistry and their defense's chemistry. And Carlton Davis is definitely up there when it comes to like big name secondary guys. And he's a good DB, but he does, have age attached to him. He's been in the league for a while now. Did end up winning a Super Bowl, though, with the Buccaneers. So, has that championship experience and has been pretty decent on the Lions for the past, 2 years now? And
It was just the 1 year we traded a third round pick for him, and then as you can see here, the Patriots decided they have big deeper pockets, and well, he's a Patriot now.
yeah, but I mean, he's going to give you good production, so I'd give it like a B plus signing all around. Maybe the age brings it down to like a B, but yeah, I'd probably give it a B. But overall,
It's not the
good
age for
signing.
me. It's more the injury history that brings it down for me. You did get like one of the better corners though in free agency though, so and that combined with like Chris Gonzalez is going to be a great corner duo, so we can give us his healthy, and I really hope he does stay healthy. We'll see how it goes. So, I guess a B plus. I'm willing to go with it. I was thinking maybe possibly B, but like B plus. It's still really you're still getting a really good corner at the end of the day, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like it, and yeah, it just gives us another big name to kind of focus on when it comes to the Patriots. All right, next up we have the Lions signing DJ Reed, former Jets, safety? No, cornerback. Former. We have the Lions signing DJ Reed, former Jets cornerback, to a deal that is not listed here, but
It was 48 max for 3 years with 32 of it guaranteed. So I 15 million and like 12 million guaranteed, approximately something like that. So yeah, overall, I'd say a pretty good signing. A lot of people had DJ Reed as their number one corner going into free agency that was going to be available, and the Lions it sounded like couldn't get Davis with the amount of money they wanted to pay him, and so went to the Patriots, which is why I would have been way more upset at the Patriots signing him. But then we got DJ Reed for less money, and overall, I'm excited. He also doesn't have an injury history. He's the same age, and yep, I'm really excited. Personally, I'd honestly give this one an A plus just because they managed to get the best corner. Most people are saying in free agency for nowhere near the highest price of any of the corners paid at this free agency.
Yeah, I like the signing. Solid all around, and yeah, I'd probably give it like a B, maybe. No, I would give it like a B plus. He's a big name. He's really good, and the Jets were kind of deciding, between him and Sauce, and it's like, well, you gotta pay Sauce, so you gotta have to give up Reed, and I mean that's a pretty good swap to be honest. Like getting DJ Reed, but also then letting Carlton Davis, go. So the Lions did what they needed to do, and I respect it. Next up, we have the Patriots signing another big name in Milton Williams to a $26 million deal. And yeah, I mean, former Super Bowl champ, another big name. This guy is a very big guy, also. Like, just straight up, this guy is humongous and is very good at what he does. So good to see that we have another, like, interior defensive lineman because I really can't name any of our interior defensive linemen, to be honest. There used to be a couple that were pretty big names back when Tom Brady used to play, but nowadays we don't really have any good interior defensive linemen. So cool to see that Milton Williams, coming in here, making a big splash and getting paid. And hopefully he will give us, that production we need that we haven't had in a while. So glad to see that he's, on our team now, and glad to see that the Patriots again got another, did another splash. So cool to see the Patriots, making these moves.
Once again, kind of an obvious overpay, but also like once again the Patriots have the money, and this is
Yeah,
up there with people's best free agent potentially coming out of this free agency class. Once again, similar to Bond, he didn't have the most production outside of this year, but he had an insane year. So overall, obviously I think the overpaying factor, but overall, just like you're getting, what you're getting probably. So like NA, just like great pickup. And it sounded like the Panthers almost reached a deal with him, and then the Patriots said, "Nah, I'll give you like extra bag." So yeah, rip the Panthers here.
yeah. A little sad, but hey, Patriots gotta do what they gotta do. Next up, we have the Panthers signing Trayvon Moehrig, and yeah, former Raider to a 3-year, $51 million deal, which is it's pretty big. Not gonna lie, Panthers got Horn and they got Moehrig now, in their secondary, which is pretty good. Not gonna lie, two younger guys that are gonna give you some real solid, play. So exciting to see how the Panthers secondary is looking in the future. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, kind of a good signing from the aspect that I didn't think he'd be available. I thought for sure the Raiders would lock him down. Potentially, maybe you could say a little bit of overpay, but like really getting a really good safety. Overall, I'm thinking maybe even like A minus, honestly, because like I didn't think they'd get him. So credit where credit is due.
Next up, we have I think most people would say probably the biggest signing of all of free agency, if not so far, which is the Seattle Seahawks signing Sam Darnold to a 3-year, up to $100 million deal. So that's about like 33 a year. And that's some decent money for Sam Darnold. Not too bad. I thought it was going to be a little bit more of an overpay, but not too bad for somebody like Sam Darnold, who kind of came out of nowhere, and just kind of balled out this past year for the Vikings, after everybody kind of wrote him off. So cool to see Sam getting paid. Hopefully he can, provide slightly better gameplay than Geno, because I know Geno, he was very hit or miss. I kind of knew and expected him to, kind of fall off this year. Not really fall off, but just kind of like not be as good as people thought he was going to be. And so hopefully Sam Darnold can kind of rejuvenate you guys in a way. And they did get somebody else later down the line that is going to rejuvenate them in their offense. And so hopefully Sam Darnold can not get injured and just be a solid QB presence for the entire season going forward.
So it is interesting. They're paying him less than Gino's gonna get on his sounds like his extension. So that is like at the end of the day, are kind of saving money here. Plus they're getting younger, so I do kind of like that aspect. There is also a major question mark though. How good is he gonna play this next season after spending like in a very QB friendly team, as well as just, things can be fluky sometimes. I mean, Mac Jones had that really good rookie year, and then things didn't really exactly go great after that. So who knows? But like either way, definitely less than overpay. I was expecting someone to give him 40 million a year. So honestly, I guess I have to give him like at least a B plus on this at minimum, mainly because of the unknown factor. I don't know if I can go in that A range, but like overall, not a bad signing, all things considered.
Yeah, nah, pretty good. I'd give it like a B. Solid B, yeah. All right, so next up we have Justin Fields actually signing with the New York Jets for about 2 years and for around 40 million guaranteed, or sorry, 40 million and then 30 of that guaranteed. This is pretty big, I'm not gonna lie. Pretty big for Fields, pretty big for the Jets. Kind of surprised the Jets have put this much trust in Fields into being their quarterback for the next 2 years. Um, Really interested to see how Fields does perform, though. I really hope he does do well because I've never been a Fields hater. I've just always been a Fields doubter. So hopefully he can prove me wrong and actually ball out on the Jets. And yeah, pretty interesting to see how the Jets' entire team actually like works now that like they got rid of like everybody. So really cool to actually see this happen, and I give it like a B solid. Man, I give it like a B minus because he's either gonna be like average or like bad. So we'll see.
I don't know. Just mentioning, I mean, they didn't really have a choice on like but to like sign like someone like Fields as like a bridge quarterback because they are drafting one. I can say that one with confidence. This draft class we've been over with has not been the greatest. They've also had some pretty decent re-signings. They also like signed Josh Myers off the Packers. So, they're trying to rebuild right now. Overall, I think I'd actually give this one a B plus just because it's kind of more like a fun bridge quarterback, honestly, signing. Plus, you also get like the connection of Fields to shoot Garrett. What's their freaking number one wide receiver again? I'm blanking right now. Everyone
Oh,
says is good.
Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Gilson Airman's okay. It was Wilson. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson, that's a connection from college. So that's kind of fun. So like I said, this feels like a fun signing. So I'm willing to give it a B plus for that reason. Plus 15 million for a bridge quarterback isn't terrible. It's just interesting to see what they can do. But yeah, they really had no choice. Also, this really screws the Steelers potentially. We were still waiting on that.
Next up, we have Cam Bynum signing with the Colts for 4 years, 60 million. It's pretty good, not gonna lie, pretty good signing. Interested to see, how the Colts kind of construct their roster because I feel like their roster's been pretty random. So I don't know how they're gonna, decide to fit everything together. But Cam Bynum's a good start. I mean, he's been a really solid safety for the past like 4 years. So pretty cool to see, him go with the Colts defense that has been kind of mid.
Yeah. They had some interesting players go on the Colts, including like two of their linemen, which we'll talk. I don't know if we're talking about in the Vikings, but yeah, they got Fries and Kelly. They center in the guard, and like they let like go a linebacker and like an edge to the Bears. Like so, they let go quite a few pieces, but in exchange, they're sacking up the secondary, which we'll talk about with a different signing. And they brought in QB competition. We'll put it that way. Either way, pretty good signing. One could say maybe a little bit of overpay, but another thing I mentioned we haven't really seen by kind of too much out of the Florida system, so we'll see how that goes. Overall, I'm willing to give it a B. Well, enough signing. Hopefully, this fixes their terrible secondary.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. The Colts defense has been so like up and down. It's kind of crazy. Next up, we have the Broncos signing. I don't know how to pronounce his first name, so I'm just gonna say his last name, Hafunga, who is a safety, to a 3 year, up to about $45 million deal, which is pretty good money. And yeah, kind of worth it. I mean, the Broncos have been targeting some guys this offseason. Really interesting, actually, because the Broncos already have a solid roster. And now they're just kind of improving little bits here and there, And so now it really all depends on how the offense, develops with Bo Nix. So really excited to see how everything works out for the Broncos. And overall, great signing. I give it like an A minus.
Yeah, they've been really stacking up that defense this season. I'm going to lower this grade down to a B plus because of the injury history of Hufunga. But when he is healthy, he's a really good safety, which does give you a really good like DB room, especially with Sutton. Sorry, not Sutton. Sertan there. It's like a really good room. Also, might as well mention this now. They send Endon Ingram as well. Tight end position they desperately needed.
Yeah.
So that's also pretty nice. They're just stacking that defense. We'll talk about more with a different other signing from before their 49ers player they managed to steal. But yeah, overall, I like what they're doing. Still would like to see maybe another wide receiver. They could definitely address that in the draft. But overall, I'm liking the Broncos offseason, especially if they all stay healthy. This is going to be
Yeah, no.
a pretty solid class.
I'm loving this defense. Probably going to be top 3 next season. I'm not gonna lie, unless everybody gets injured. Definitely one of the best defenses in the league. Really exciting to see what they do. All right, next up we have also a very big, probably the biggest like defensive signing of the offseason so far, and probably for the entire offseason, which is Josh Sweat, former Super Bowl champion, signing with the Arizona Cardinals for a 4-year, about $76.5 million. And yeah, pretty interesting because the Cardinals kind of felt like a little bit of a random team that he signed with, but I mean, the Cardinals got to do something, you know? So, interesting to see that they signed Josh Sweat of all people. But I thought Josh Sweat was going to go to more of a competitor, but cool to see that, he's getting paid at least. And yeah, hopefully the Cardinals do something important this year.
Not as random as you think it is. Their current head coach Gannon is the former defensive coordinator when Sweat had his best year in 2022
Oh
for the
yeah,
Bills.
I low-key forgot they hired a new head coach. I'm not gonna lie.
It's rumors sounds like the Lions almost had a deal locked in with Sweat, and the Cardinals managed to beat us out to it. So I am a little upset about that one. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, but overall, obviously a good signing. Their D line was incredibly lacking, so this hopefully will embolden their pass rush a lot. They also did like sign like Brissett. Yep. That's gonna really help their QB room. And
I
seriously,
mean,
also we stole their DT, so you know what? Totally, that's equal. No, it's not at all. But yeah, not a bad price, honestly.
no, definitely worth it. And yeah, the Cardinals they gotta do what they gotta do to at least get at least 5 wins because I swear Cardinals have been so bad recently, and it's not really funny. So they have to do something to improve their team. And this is a pretty good start. All right, next up we have a quick little mention, which is the Bills signing Joshua Palmer, former Chargers wide receiver, to a 3-year, $36 million deal. And pretty solid. I mean, the Bills kind of have to. They can't really make a big splash in wide receiver because they have so many guys that it's kind of hard to fit some big name in there. And so their strategy has been kind of just to put together a really solid room of a bunch of like number twos or number threes with Shakir, Palmer. They had Amari Cooper, now he's gone, and Coleman, and they did
Actually,
have Matt
Cooper
Collins.
didn't sign anywhere yet, so we don't know for certain. But yeah, probably not coming back. But yeah, why not? More competition. I like it. You might as well. If you can't get a big name wide receiver, you might as well add more competition. Hopefully, you'll see more players develop, and at minimum, this pushes more competition. Bills room.
I mean, yeah, it
Definitely
does. It
solid
does
signing.
help. It does help the
Kind of just like a
MVP of the
need.
league. So next up, we have the Commanders trading for Texans left tackle Laramie Tunsil, which is pretty big. That's pretty huge. For a second, third, and a fourth. Wow, that's a lot to give up for a left tackle, but Loki, it's worth it because left tackle, of course, most important position on the O line, and again, Jaden Daniels, very good quarterback off the rip, so you kind of have to protect him, give him those players that can make those plays, so he doesn't get injured. And Laramie Tunsil is definitely going to do that. He's definitely going to make those blocks where they need to be made, and so really really good trade by the Commanders. Kind of surprising though, but I mean the Texans also pretty good trade for them because they did get 3 pretty decent picks back. So really cool to see how well the Commanders do this upcoming season because man, they are making all the right moves right now.
Kind of actually have more of a more negative opinion on this trade. Weirdly enough, just because it does feel like more of a kind of win now kind of move, which the Commanders could be in. But you never, like I said, you never really know with the second year of a quarterback. I feel like it takes like 2 years in the league to truly understand, fully know how good a quarterback is. Like obviously Daniels was amazing last year, but the main reason why I'm not as high on this trade is because you're giving up a lot of draft picks, and the Commanders nailed the draft last year. So I think giving up a lot of picks just feels kind of weird, from the Commanders' perspective for that reason.
Yeah, a little bit.
But you're still getting a really good tackler, so I'd still give the trade a B for the Commanders, and Texans A minus because you're getting a lot of picks, but you are giving up your best piece in the O line that was never really that good last year. So hopefully they can replace it in the draft. They still have time to replace it. That's the only reason why it's not lower. So I'm sure they'll draft someone to at least somewhat praise the production. They also does have the problem of a lot of false starts last season. It was a record ridiculous amount of false starts.
I mean, all around good trade. Can't have negatives, could have positives, but overall, I mean, it's gonna move the needle for the Commanders. So I guess that's what matters. And yeah, I mean, you're probably gonna have to do something about it in a few years, and I guess we'll see what happens when that time comes. But for right now, positive trade, I would say all around. So I give it like a B plus probably for the Commanders. All right, next up we have the Browns. For some reason, I genuinely have no reason why, but they're trading for Kenny Pickett. They gave up they gave up Dorian Thomas Robinson, which is a mouthful of a name, but also was
DTR
their
is what people tend to abbreviate him as.
yeah, he was their third string, and I mean, he's a good quarterback. He played like I think he started like maybe 2 games for his entire career on the Browns. Played. I
Not a
mean,
lot.
played
He did-
obviously like bad, but not terrible. So I mean, he's basically just like Kenny Pickett, if not worse, and a 5th round pick. So I guess take it as you will. Is there wait? There's a second slide. Oh yeah, it's just it's just
yeah.
him on the Eagles now, and yeah. So I guess this is kind of funny just to mention how weird the Browns are for doing this. I mean, they get a 5th round pick in Kenny Pickett. It's kind of weird, but sure, I guess if that's what you like to
No, the
do,
Browns
do
didn't
it.
get the 5th round pick. They gave up a 5th round pick
Oh
for
wait,
Kenny
yeah.
Pickett.
Sorry, I read that wrong. My bad. Yeah, no.
uh,
That's just a bad trade by the Browns. I don't know what they're doing, but I guess
yeah,
if
I'd say like D at best because at least in theory, you upgraded the quarterback position. I'm not even confident on that, but like maybe you did. And like Eagles, honestly, like now you got to pick out of Pickett somehow. Like that's actually, and it's a 5th round pick is wild to me.
yeah.
Like actually, but
Someone
the other thing you
comments.
mentioned that I
Sorry,
think was
you go.
hilarious. The other thing I thought was absolutely hilarious is that it sounds like the Browns told Pickett that he could compete for the starting job next year, and that alone is made this even funnier to me.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of depressing. If you're telling Kenny Pickett he can compete for a starting job, you got something seriously wrong with your team. So that's really weird. Also, I love how someone comments Pickett has more Super Bowls than Dak Prescott now. That's crazy. All right, next up we have the Colts signing Charvarius Ward to a 3-year deal worth up to around $60 million. Which again, the Colts, they're trying to rebuild this team. They're trying to restructure this team, and they're doing it defense first, which is pretty good because their offense is also kind of bad, but like their defense has been trash. I feel like for the past 2 years. So pretty good move by the Colts, and yeah, this guy I feel bad for him, man. He had the whole thing with his kid, and now he came back and he wasn't the same player, and it's really sad to see, but hopefully this guy can still ball out like he was prior to the whole tragedy that happened on the Colts, and yeah, excited to see how this career how Ward's career goes, and plays out going forward.
Maybe like I said over Pep, you're still getting a really good corner, so like B plus for me. And
Yeah,
like I said, they need to really do something to that secondary. Now we'll see what they do in the O line. Now is the next question, but regardless, still like the signing.
yeah, I agree. B plus, pretty good.
Zach Wilson. This is like a C minus kind of grade because like maybe he has potential maybe still, and like Tua likely probably will miss a game. So
Actually, yeah, now that you
yeah,
mention it, he will actually get playing time, which is kind of funny because Tua is guaranteed to at least miss a few games. So,
and maybe he's better than Snoop Huntley and Skylar Thompson. So you know what? Really moving up in the world, Dolphins.
yeah, the funny thing is that's the first thing we see from the Dolphins this entire free agency. That's crazy. All right, I'll do Matt Collins really quick, and then I'll
Yeah,
just I'll do it myself, and then I'll just get off of it, and then we can go on the next one. All
yeah,
right,
go
next
for it.
up, yeah. All right, next up we have Matt Collins getting signed by the New England Patriots for a deal that is 2 years, 84 million, and could go up to. Next up we have the Patriots signing Matt Collins, which is pretty random. But they signing him to a 8.4 million deal that for 2 years that can go up to around like 10.5 million. And such a weird thing to do after getting 3 back to back to back really important or really big defensive names. You just kind of sign Matt Collins, which is a little weird, but I mean, sure, if that's what they want to do, whatever. I don't know. they can't seem to get a wide receiver when it really matters, and when they do get one, it's somebody that nobody cares about, and that's a third wide receiver on like literally any other team besides the Patriots. Somehow this guy's gonna end up being our number one, and I'm gonna be crashing out watching Patriots games next year because Drake May is gonna have no one to throw to, and it's gonna be really really bad. But I don't know. We'll have to see. But this is just so random and kind of not doesn't move the needle at all for our offense. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and there's still a few wide receivers left out there, but like it's like Diggs and Allen. Maybe you'll get one of them, but otherwise, this might be their best receiver on the roster, which is quite the statement.
All right, next up we have the Cowboys signing Javonte Williams, which is such a I don't even know. I didn't even expect the Cowboys to do something like this. I thought they were going to get Najee or at least Aaron Jones. I didn't think they were going to get Javonte, to be honest, because it's not a big enough name for the Cowboys to sign to make it justified. But they have to do it because they literally can't sign anybody else because they're such a bad team at this point, and their cap space is so terrible that like they really can't do anything. And yeah, Javonte Williams, a very mid running back, like very like much like a 20th best running back in the league, like not great at all. Barely can start for a team nowadays because of his injury, and really sad to see, to be honest. But yeah, Javonte is just not gonna be good. Really that much on the Cowboys, and it's probably like we were talking earlier. He's probably gonna have to split carries with somebody, who they either sign or they draft, and so it's gonna be very weird. The running back room for the Cowboys this upcoming season. How the mighty have fallen, to be honest, going from Ezekiel Elliott to a bunch of random people, or I should say Tony Pollard, and now to Javonte. Kind of random.
22nd he leaves and goes to Tennessee. Actually, it's not terrible, which is funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 3 million for the value, I guess, is like a B plus. But also, like, this is like their only big quote unquote big signing. And the funniest part is that they literally had Dak and CD restructure their contracts. So they actually had some money to spend, and they just didn't. So I
Yeah.
don't have anything to say on this.
This seems like a very desperate move. Sorry. This seems like a very desperate move, and that just describes the Cowboys right now. Very desperate. All right, next up we have the Broncos strengthening their defense somehow even more by signing one of the best linebackers in the league in Dre Greenlaw for 3 years, $35 million. And yeah, I mean, very well deserved. I mean, Dre Greenlaw coming off of that injury didn't look as great as he used to, but still, he's still like a top 15, probably not a top 10 at this point, but still a top 15 linebacker in the league. Like, this guy is going to give you great minutes. And I really do hope that the Broncos, use him right, and he probably will be used right, and he'll make some good plays for you. So the Broncos defense is just getting better and better somehow after, already being like top 3, arguably the best defense last year. So really excited to see their defense going into next year because Greenlaw just is going to make them that much better.
Yep. I mean, definitely a good signing, especially assuming that Greenlaw comes back to his form next season. Hopefully, wish him the best and not getting injured again or have anything affect him long term. Yeah, good signing probably. So the injury leaves it unknown though because of last season. So I'll put it at only a B plus. But like great signing. Also, good time to mention the 49ers are basically letting a lot of people walk and cutting and trading. It seems like they actually are trying to reset and retool, which is something the Saints maybe one day will learn how to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably agree with you. I'd probably give it a B plus, to be honest. Yeah, good deal all around. Next up, we have the Saints re-signing Chase Young to a 3-year, $51 million deal, worth up to $57 million, which is really weird, to be honest. I don't know why he's getting paid that much money when Chase Young really has just been a disappointment coming out of college. Like, everybody thought he was going to be, so good. Turns out, not really. Turns out he's very below average, and you're paying a below average, edge guy $51 million for 3 years. I mean, it's not that much, but it's also like, why? Like, it doesn't really make much sense. But sure, I guess the Saints had to spend money somehow. So why not spend it on Chase Young, who you're probably gonna give up in a year or two anyway?
Yeah, D definitely on my end of the signing here. It's just way too much money for not that great of a player. I've never seen someone get paid this much money for just like feeling and looking like a good player, but not actually producing. It's like wild. and like the Saints could like use that money to like deal with some of the dead cap. Maybe nope, re-signing Chase Young.
Yeah, no. I mean, the Saints just definition of desperate right now. All right, next up we have the Chargers, surprisingly, actually, signing Najee Harris to a 1-year deal worth about $9.25 million. It's pretty good money, actually, for a guy of Najee's standard. And very interesting to see how Najee performs in this, run-first offense that Jim Harbaugh has going. And exciting, to be honest, to see this Chargers offense all around, seeing how they work next year. So I would say good signing. I'd probably give it like a B. No, I'd give it like a B minus. Definitely something that you have to do. And gonna be interesting to see where JK goes, though.
Yeah. JK hasn't signed anymore. He could be back. He could not be. We don't really know. Like Nazi more if we knew he was splitting carries with someone. To be honest with you, I think he'd be like a great like split kind of back.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
so maybe it'd be minus is fair. But I'll be nice and give it the B. Plus, I guess I'm also mentioned the other signings they've made. They actually made a reunion with Mike Williams, which is kind of surprising, but also like it makes sense. They need another wide receiver.
That was low key random. I'm not gonna lie.
But like yeah, that's probably like a B signing just because of the need and like hometown discount. Only 6 million. Pretty good actually.
Yeah.
And then like they also bigger signing actually. They got Beckham from the Eagles. They walked in free agency. 20 million is a decent amount for a guard, but he didn't play at an elite level last year. And honestly, that thinks that line, but honestly, that makes that O line just like ridiculously elite. Honestly, with the Beckham signing.
Yeah. A little weird, but all around solid. All right, next up we have the Vikings re-signing Byron Murphy to a 3-year, $66 million deal. And yeah, kind of what do you have to do? Vikings secondary. It's been up and down. It's had its good years, had its bad years over the past like 5 years. But it's been pretty solid, I would say, for the past like 3 to 2 years. And Byron Murphy is definitely one of the reasons why. So good, good re-sign. And yeah, this guy is definitely one of the more underrated guys in the league. And really excited to see how this Vikings defense shapes up going into next year.
I'd probably give it like a B plus because it's like a good signing in terms of what you needed and you needed to bring him back. But like also, I didn't exactly get like a home discount that we would maybe expect.
All right, next up we have the Vikings also signing Jonathan Allen, former Washington Commander, to 3 years, $60 million. And pretty good signing. This guy has, been a very strong interior D lineman for a while, and definitely was helpful to the Commanders last year on their little run they had there. And yeah, definitely just strengthens this Vikings defense to be even better going into next year. So hopefully, the Vikings defense does put on consistent performances, unlike last year, because they are getting some really good players like Jonathan Allen and like we just previously talked about Murphy.
I'm a little confused why Washington even let him walk, especially when the person they signed honestly to replace him was kind of like a complete overpay in my opinion. So honestly, good deal here from the Vikings picking him up. They had the money because they let Sam Darnold walk, so
Yeah.
great signing. Probably A minus territory maybe even if you get the production that I think you're gonna get out of him, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's definitely one of the better, probably best, I would say, D lineman or interior D lineman in the league. So awesome to see the Vikings doing that. Next up, we have the Giants signing Javon Holland, former Miami Dolphin safety, to a 3-year worth around $45 million and including around $30.5 million guaranteed. So pretty solid and definitely deserves the pay. Been one of the best safeties in the league for a little while now. And yeah, Giants probably do need some defensive help because their defense is always just so bad. So good defense for the Giants means, good Giants football. So hopefully they can improve their defense even more. And this definitely does help move the needle for the Giants going forward.
Yeah, honestly, one of the best safeties in the league. Did have a down year that last year, but other than that, like he's been one of the best in the league for his entire career. And honestly, I think this is just gonna be a really good signing. Honestly, I thought he'd get paid more than that. I think I'd give this an A. You're getting great talent, not too bad of a price.
Yeah, love to see it for the Giants because they haven't made many deals this offseason. Next up, we have the Texans trading for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. This trade is where the Eagles receive a 5th round pick and the Texans receive a 6th round pick. And basically, the Texans get CJ, and the Eagles are trading CJ, and the Texans are giving up Keon Green, who's a guard. So basically, they each get a player and a pick, and the Texans probably did win this trade. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, kind of a little bit of a random one. I saw a lot of Eagles fans mad about this one because it was kind of random, but I mean, CJ, he's up and down. He has his moments. He's a little lackluster sometimes, but overall, he's a great player, and he's going to give you good production. So exciting to see that the Texans are going out of their way to trade for him. A little bit weird of a trade though, considering the Eagles didn't really get that much back. But I mean, sure. I mean, it's kind of, if the Eagles want, if Howie Roseman needs to get rid of people, to sign other people, I guess sure, it's worth it. But a little weird. But overall, the trade, I would say like a B plus for both sides. I think maybe like a B minus for the Eagles.
Yeah. No. This trade did also be kind of random. Yeah, their guard was just not good. The Eagles are probably thinking they could maybe like make something out of him with like their coaching staff being really good over there. We'll see how that pans out. It's really hard to give him a really good grade right now because we haven't seen him play good football really. And CJ Gardner Johnson, as long as he's healthy, has proved to be a pretty good safety. Of course, he doesn't stay healthy in Detroit, but that's not the point. But yeah, getting another pick is pretty good. It sounded like the Eagles were trying to actually get Justin Reed off the Chiefs, and that didn't happen. So it sounds like they might need to fill that hole in the draft now. But overall, yeah, Texans, you get a pretty good safety, assuming he stays healthy. That's probably like a B plus, maybe an A minus, depending on how good CJ plays. And then, like I said, at least right now, Eagles B minus because like you got to make something out of the guard you just got. But they 5th round pick, that's something.
Yeah, no. I mean, like the Philly account commented, this one hurts the most. Definitely the most unexpected Eagles move so far, but I mean, it's a gamble that you kind of have to make because this team, like we already have seen, so many players, are so expensive, and trying to keep them all at the end of the day is going to be so hard. So getting rid of them, by letting them walk or by trading them, it's kind of it kind of has to happen if you want to try to win back to back or any Super Bowls going forward. So I guess a necessary move at the end of the day. Next up for just a little bit of a giggle, we have the Colts signing Daniel Jones off of the Vikings after the Vikings released him. And he agrees to a 1-year deal with money that isn't listed, but I mean it's probably like I don't know.
It was 14
Yeah, I
million
was gonna
with
say it's probably like less than 20 million. So I mean you're making barely any money at this point, and when what he was getting paid like close to 30 million a year by the Giants a few years
all
ago.
things considered,
So
though, this is probably about as much money you could have realistically got coming off of the getting cut by the Giants and the most unceremonious way possible. And yeah, he's going to be competing for the starting job with AR. So if AR cannot beat Daniel Jones for a starting job, yeah, there is really no
yeah.
saving him, is there?
Yeah, no, that's the bad thing. Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, off-season battle for quarterback starting position will be
The
legendary.
battle. I
It'll
would say
be
the
it will
battle
be
mid, but that's kind of honestly generous.
it will
But
be
yeah,
funny. It's basically saying like it's basically telling what was it? It was like a few years ago. It was like Sam Howell and like Geno Smith battling out for quarterback. That's kind of what that's kind of what this reminds me of a little bit. Hopefully Anthony Richardson though does just absolutely destroy Daniel Jones in that battle, but we'll have to wait and see. All right, next up we have the Saints signing Justin Reed, former Chiefs safety, to a 3-year, $31.5 million deal with about 22.5 guaranteed. That's crazy. The Saints somehow have money to sign one of the best safeties in the league, like a former multi-time champion. Um, but they don't have enough money to like do anything else. It's so weird. I don't know how the Saints, like justify anything in their organization at this point. Like I don't know how their front office works. But they are just so weird for doing this because I mean, they already got Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, from him, and now they're getting Reed. Like, they're going to have one of the best safety duos in the league, but it's going to be so random because the rest of their team's going to suck. So I don't know what they're doing.
like in a vacuum, you could say like, oh, it's like a B plus, maybe an A minus, like great for like signing such a good safety for not even that terrible of a price. But then you remember this is the Saints that don't have money and need to reset literally a decade ago. It feels like at this point, and they even like re-signed their tight end, which is just not helping their dead cap, and they're just like lack of cap space. I don't know how this team's gonna function in 2 years. Like, how do you still have money at this point? I am baffled. This is an F signing for that reason. Like, there's no way this is gonna secure their future. This is not gonna be the move that brings them over the hump. Welcome back to 9-8 at best. No, this is just I cannot get behind the signing.
All right, next up we have the Ravens, surprisingly actually, signing DeAndre Hopkins to a 1-year, $6 million deal, which is a pretty good rental for a guy like D-Hop who can still give you 400 to 600 yards and at least 5 touchdowns. So really cool to see D-Hop, having one last dance kind of to see if he can get that ring that he really needs. And kind of cool to see him teaming up with Lamar. It does feel weird though, like he just feels like another one of those wide receivers that's adding on to like the Lamar Jackson, like, oh, come over here and help me try to win, old wide receivers kind of trope, because he had, Dez Bryant like 3 years ago do that. He had, why am I blanking? Who was it last year? Who was the old guy that came to them last year?
They got Johnson from the Panthers.
Yeah, I guess Deontay Johnson tried to come over. They had somebody else who was a pretty big name. It wasn't Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown almost did.
Beckham, right? Beckham Jr.
Yeah, Odell was a few years ago. Antonio Brown almost came. He was really close to coming to the Baltimore Ravens a few years ago. I don't know, the Ravens just can't seem to get a guy that's going to stay there for a while that's young, like maybe Zay Flowers, but
Zay Flowers.
I feel like Zay Flowers is going to get traded in a few years, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the Ravens they haven't had that wide receiver one like the Bengals or like the Chiefs. The Chiefs actually don't even have one anymore, but the Bengals and the Vikings do with Jefferson, or the Cowboys do with CeeDee Lamb, and it's so weird that the Ravens just don't really have that number one solid guy. Because Zay Flowers is kind of it, but also Zay Flowers, he really isn't that good. So we'll have to wait and see, but I guess, good deal for the Ravens. I mean,
yeah, why not take a chance on it? B+.
Yeah, why not convince them that you're gonna get a ring when you really aren't gonna get anywhere close to getting a ring?
A lot of their signings weren't that big, but they got right back their left tackle, one of the best in the league, Ronnie Stanley. That one's an A+.
Yeah, that guy's goated.
Great guy.
Yeah.
So, yep.
I mean, yeah, Ravens moving the needle a small amount, but not enough to justify them actually winning next year. Next up, we have the Bills, surprisingly enough, signing Joey Bosa to a 1-year, $12.5 million deal. Pretty surprising, not going to lie. Thought he was going to team up with his brother. There was a lot of rumors that he was going to go team up with his brother. That would have been pretty cool. But at the end of the day, I mean, the Bills probably offered him more money, and the 49ers probably don't want to deal with another guy that they're going to have to cut or whatever after next year, or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, Joey Bosa coming to the Bills, kind of random, kind of replacing Von Miller in a way. And yeah, just whatever, I don't know. I mean, the Bills, he's probably going to get injured, to be honest. So, not really that surprising.
Yeah, you really upgraded from your old injury-prone edge to a slightly younger injury-prone edge. But yeah, overall, I mean, if he stays healthy, this could be a big signing. It's definitely a big if. So for now, I'll tentatively put it a B. But this could in theory be an A- signing. But
I don't know. I might be a hater. I would give this signing a C. I feel like it's just so unnecessary. If he gets more than 6 sacks, I will be impressed. I'm not even joking. I don't think he's gonna play a lot, and I don't think he's gonna be that big of a help on the D-line, but I mean, he's Joey Bosa at the end of the day. He could pull off anything, so we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, yeah, the Bills, I mean, they probably had to make this move, just to help out their defense a little bit. Next up, we have the Vikings signing another defense guy in Javon Hargrave to a 2-year, $30 million deal. Wow, okay. Vikings said, we're not done yet. Let us cook. And they got one of the better interior D linemen in the league, which is pretty good, actually. That's impressive. Vikings really are trying to make themselves one of the best two-way teams in the league by, getting this defense stacked up on the offseason and then hopefully praying basically that J.J. McCarthy is better than Sam Darnold, because if he is, I mean, you could have a really good two-way team there. So yeah, Hargrave does help out the Vikings a lot. I'd say like it's a B minus. You know, or actually no, I'd probably say a C plus. He's not the biggest guy they got, but he's also not like the worst guy that they got either, and he's definitely not like trash. So at least they're not like overpaying him. Like 15 a year for 2 years isn't that bad. So I give it like a C plus.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Also, I don't care how many interior D linemen you bring, you're not stopping the run game of Detroit, baby.
Yeah, no. Sadly, that's the one thing the Vikings defense will not be able to stop is the Detroit offense.
But yeah, they're building up the trenches. I respect it in that aspect. They're missing one free agent though. I think it's a certain Aaron individual. I feel like they could really use that in their team.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah, probably. All right. Anyways, all right. Next up, we have Darius Slay signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers after being released by the Eagles, which wasn't that surprising because again they have to cut players and make sure the whole money thing is okay after winning a Super Bowl. But signing with the Steelers, I don't know if a lot of people saw one coming. But yeah, he signed for a 1 year, $10 million deal. Pretty solid. Pretty good 1 year rental, I would say, for the Steelers. You know, they're not going to go out and win a Super Bowl because of this or anything, but, you know, it's going to give them a little bit more versatility on defense. So, good pickup for the Steelers, but they did make better moves like DK and, you know, letting Fields walk. So, I'd say all around pretty solid for the Steelers.
yeah, they really needed like an extra corner to Porter Jr. So they got an extra corner to go opposite at least for this year. Don't know how many more years he has in the league. I'm assuming he probably like called Detroit up and tried to like come back, but they weren't interested at all. So Steelers, fair enough. 10 million, not a bad 1 year rental.
Yeah.
Overall, I think I'm like a B on the signing. Like it's just kind of like standard like solid signing here. I
Yeah.
think he got like an insane value or anything. Also, they also brought back the important red zone reindeer Mason Rudolph at QB, which is their only
Hey,
QB they
let's
have under
go.
under contract currently. So
Dude,
clearly he's gonna be the starting QB. No, we'll see who they sign.
Mason Rudolph doing another year as a backup for the Steelers is gonna feed families, bro. Oh my gosh, Mason Rudolph's he's so funny as a Steelers quarterback because he makes so many stupid plays, but then he'll make like a really good play. And it's like, oh yeah, that's why he's in the NFL. He's such a
Hey,
he's
yeah,
he's
played
one of
Kenny
those.
Pickett.
Yeah, no, Mason Rudolph's he's like basically the exact same as Kenny Pickett, bro. I'm not gonna lie. All right, so next up we have Seattle signing former excuse me. Next up, we have Seattle signing former Cowboys DN Demarcus Lawrence to a what is that? 3 year, 42 million with about 18 of that guaranteed, which is pretty good. I mean, Lawrence has always been like probably top three, top four on the Cowboys defense over the past like 6, 7 years. So I mean, he's been around for a while too. So he's actually a veteran presence, really good. And he's gonna give you that versatility you need on defense. So, really solid signing by the Seahawks. Actually, helps out their defense a lot too. So good signing, I would say. I'd probably give it like a A minus.
Probably one of the better like tier two edges like you'd have like for like an opposite of like an edge rusher. So like honestly, really good signing. Uh, Also mentioned that he said he left Dallas because he wasn't going to win a Super Bowl there. Where Mark Parsons replied back that you should focus. Sorry, responded back to basically calling him a clown, and then Lawrence struck back saying, "Maybe if you focus more time on winning instead of replying, I wouldn't have left." So that's a little funny. Something tells me
Yeah.
he's not coming back to Dallas anytime soon.
Yeah, no. I don't even know, man. They're just trolling each other, and the Dallas is kind of toxic right now. So if I was him, I wouldn't want to come back to Dallas anytime soon either.
Hey, Seahawks in their little rebuild.
Yeah. Well, retool. I don't even know what to call it at this point. Next up, and one of the last signings we have on this list, or scrolling through the Instagram at least, we have the Raiders signing Raheem Mostert to a 1 year, very small $2.1 million deal. I actually didn't think you'd get that small of deals for guys like Raheem Mostert, not gonna lie. But I mean, solid signing. You got to have some running back versatility because they brought back Madison and now they have Mostert, so they have two like shareable carries backs that are gonna share carries with each other. So I guess very below average running back room now, and yeah, Mostert's getting up there with age, but maybe maybe he'll give you one more good year of production before he retires or whatever. But yeah, not surprised. I guess the Raiders had to have a little bit of offensive versatility of the running back position, and yeah, it's what this gives them. I'd say like C minus signing. I don't think anyone really cares, but I mean the Raiders probably care. But that's it, really.
Yeah, I mean Madison can't be your RB1 as we seen last year, so yeah, sure, why not? Hopefully they draft someone because if this is their running back room, it's still going to be atrocious. All things
Yeah.
considered, Mostert. I mean, like he's getting up there in age.
Yeah, maybe for once, Pete Carroll will decide not to run the ball with this running back room. Anyways, all right, next up we have Adoree Jackson signing with the Philadelphia Eagles with a contract that is not listed, but I'm assuming is like pretty decent money. Guys, he
I
signed
have
for
your
zero.
information.
He signed for free, guys. They got him on a free 1 year rental.
We don't have that information yet,
Yeah.
but
I mean, I'm assuming it's like, it's probably similar to like Slay's deal. Like it's probably like anywhere from 10 to 20 million. Um, and the Eagles definitely need that. They need a little bit more versatility at the corner position now that they've gotten rid of two big guys. Or I guess big names, not, amazing guys at their positions anymore. In CJ and Darius Slay. So, but I mean, Adoree Jackson does give you a little bit more versatility, and yeah, you're gonna end up having to pay other guys in the Eagles anyways. So, I mean, getting him for a little bit is fine. And yeah, all around solid signing by the Eagles. I give it like a B minus. You kind of have to replace the guys that you lost, but replacing them with like all time talent does not really matter. You just need guys that can play, and that can stay healthy. So hopefully that is what Adoree Jackson gives them.
I mean, they really needed a veteran presence in that cornerback room. Like they drafted two pretty good ones with Mitchell and Dean, but like they need at least some veteran presence, help their further development, So
Yeah,
solid
no.
signing.
Oh, I mean, yeah, the Eagles got to do what they got to do after winning that bowl, and hopefully they can run it back. And last but certainly not least, we have MVS signing with the Seattle Seahawks as one of the better wide receiver 2 signings of this offseason. Now, I'm just kidding. We have Cooper Kupp signing with the Seattle Seahawks, and yeah, he's signing with them after getting released by LA after not being able to find a trade partner, which is kind of sad because I wish the Rams would have gotten something back for him because he's a good wide receiver. But yeah, no, sadly they had to release him, and now the Seahawks get him not for free, but not at least they're not trading away somebody for him. And yeah, really solid signing by Seattle. This makes me want to think Seattle's not done yet. But they probably are. I mean, they're probably like done signing and trading for people, and they're probably just gonna kind of sit with this team and kind of draft people to fill in the gaps. And I have no idea if Seattle is gonna be able to compete this year or not. I don't think they are. I feel like if they get more than 8 wins, I'd be surprised. Like this Seattle team's good, but I don't know if they're like really good. It's gonna be one of the more interesting teams going into the season. We'll have to see how good Darnold is, but yeah, Seattle is gonna be very, very surprising going forward. Yeah, I don't know. Cooper Kupp, though, I love the move. And yeah, Darnold is probably gonna play a lot similar to how Jared Goff played in like the last year he played with Cooper Kupp. So it's probably gonna be like mid to like slightly above average quarterback play that Cooper Kupp's gonna get, which is a downgrade from Stafford, but we'll see.
I mean, like this is like a solid signing. It makes sense that nobody traded for him. It would have been 20 million being to pay Cup for this year, which would have been a little much for his talents as he's currently declining. I don't think he'll be dropping nearly 2,000 yards again. But regardless, yeah, definitely a solid signing. We'll see how long this is for. It sounds like he basically signed here because he used to play in Washington, like the area. So glad to see he gets to do that. Though he also now has to face his former team twice a year, so I imagine Rams fans aren't exactly too happy about this
Oh
signing.
yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot that they're in division. That's crazy.
But yeah, they have a lot of draft picks. We'll see what the future of the Seahawks is going to look like. We have Sam Darnold at least for right now. We'll see if he'll develop. Based on the trends, though, we're going to see Zach Wilson signing with the Seahawks down the line as the next failed Jets QB to get a start here.
Yeah. I'm looking at a stat right here that somebody commented. Every quarterback to win the MVP award last year in the last 5 seasons has played with MVS. And like we were talking about earlier, he played with Rodgers, who won the back-to-backs. He played with Patrick Mahomes, who won Super Bowl MVP. And then he played with Patrick Mahomes, who won Super Bowl MVP again. And then he played with Josh Allen last year, won MVP. So guys, maybe Sam Darnold is coming for that award this year, guys. Maybe he's gonna drop like 50 touchdowns and like only 2 interceptions. That'd be crazy. Maybe Cooper Kupp goes for 3,000 yards. You know, you never know.
Yeah,
But
still potential big names out there. Like I said, Aaron Rodgers hasn't signed it anywhere. But,
Russell
obviously from
Wilson,
Minnesota.
Von Miller, you know,
Miller.
there's some pretty big names, and it's gonna be
Also,
interesting.
like potential trade for Trey Hendricks could also be another
Oh yeah,
big thing.
true. Forgot. Yeah, big th. You know, coming off a really good year of the Bengals. Had like what, like 16 sacks. It's pretty crazy. One of the best edge rushers in the league, and the Bengals are just like, yeah, we're not gonna pay you.
I mean,
um,
did you see what they're paying the wide receivers?
I know it's like the Bengals. The Bengals are
uh,
they're so cooked, bro. Like they're actually just cooked. Make sure to follow us both on Twitter in the link in the description, and make sure to join our Discord for future updates and future video notifications. Or if you just want to stay on YouTube, make sure to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. And also, don't forget to leave a like because we'd like it if you leave a like because it helps out the YouTube algorithm and it makes the video look cool when it has a lot of likes. So
Also, like comment your favorite free agent signing
oh
this
yeah.
season, maybe by your team, or like maybe there's like a free agent out there you still
Yeah.
want.
Yeah,
Like,
or
yeah,
maybe
comment down below.
grade, maybe comment down below the grade you give your team, like if you were the Bills fan, or if you like the if you were like the 49ers fan, you'd probably give your team an F minus for free agency. So,
Hey,
we'll be interested to see what you guys think, but hope you guys have a great rest of your day and we will see you in the next upload. Peace out.
bye bye.